So welcome to Mr. Wizard's Workshop, episode 40. This week it's going to be the rapid review of productivity principles 5 through 8. So over the last few months, I've dived down into a group of 12 core principles for personal productivity, covering one principle at a time. These are the mindsets, belief, paradigms, patterns of critical mental models, which can be the foundation to build all of your productivity techniques, systems, and practices on. I've used some variation of most of these principles for years and years. But it was Eben Pagan's excellent Wake Up Productive program, which helped me to bring some of them to even more focus. So in this episode, I'm going to do a speed review of principle 5 through 8, which correspond to episodes 31 through 34 of Mr. Wizard's Workshop. Pay close attention. There'll be a test at the end. Actually, there'll be a discussion, but be thinking about which of these four is either the most useful or the most challenging for you. If you'd like a copy of this slide deck, just email me here at support@accountabilitywizard.com and I'll send you a copy. So principle number 5 is internal chaos creates external chaos. This was episode 31. So if you have chaos on the inside, you're going to experience chaos on the outside. You're in effect making your life chaotic, and chaos on the outside can trigger even more inner chaos. So it can be a negative feedback loop. Some people are actually addicted to this inner chaos. They're addicted to the struggle. They feel at home in it. And or one of the reasons, because many people grew up in physical and emotional chaos, so they think that is just the way things are supposed to be. But actually, it's not. So this chaos gets started in your mind, body, emotions, or can with very small tricks. So a single thought can spin up a whole chaotic story storm in your mind. Kind of the takeaway principle here, or the follow-on to this principle, is start noticing your inner, called chaos butterfly. Pay attention to the trigger thoughts or emotions and just start catching yourself. In effect, become more aware and more mindful. Principle number 6 is focus your talents and your strengths on your biggest opportunities. Covered all the details of this in episode 32. In life, there are only a relatively few things that are really matter, really, truly, critically important. If you focus and work on only those things that matter the most each day, your biggest opportunities, you'll have huge long-term success. So as a reminder, here's the affirmation that I have posted on my side mantra over here. I invest my time, energy, and attention wisely. It's just a little reminder for me as I'm working over the course of the day, am I investing my time, energy, and attention wisely? So if you focus your talents and strengths each day on the biggest opportunities you have, then you can get huge leverage. You're compounding your results. So one of the things that we talked about in this episode 32, a review and discussion of Eben Pagan's productivity pyramid. So it's one way that you can think about how to land on the most important stuff for you. There are other ways, the Eisenhower matrix, Pareto principle. Another one, and one of my favorites, is the one thing question. But this is also a good filter, or a good way to think about it, which is, you can picture a pyramid. The bottom is zero or negative value activity. So shit you shouldn't be doing. Low dollar per hour things, which often would be candidates for either eliminating, or if it's something that had some amount of benefit, maybe outsourcing. High dollar per hour activities and high lifetime value. I won't necessarily read through all these, but I gathered up some or had some principles, some quotes that correspond well to this. Your talent is God's gift to you. What you do with it is your gift back to God. Dean Koontz, I like this one. I really believe that everyone has a talent, ability, or skill that he can mind to support himself and to succeed in life. So principle number 7, which corresponds to, or we dive down into all the details in episode 33, is your future can either be an extension of your past or something new that you could create. So for many people, their future will just be a repetition or extension of their past. They're going to do basically the same thing that they did in the past, and they're going to get the same results they got in the past. Part of the challenge is many people don't see any other option for their future other than what they have experienced. So to create something new, you have to let go of the past. That means let go of any stories that keep you stuck, and you also have to be open to visualizing and targeting a different future. So I really like, I like both these quotes, but the one from Oprah I really, really like, which is the great courageous act that we must all do is to have the courage to step out of our history and past so that we can live our dreams. And principle number 8 is focus on what you want to create, not on what you want to avoid. Episode 34 is where we dived into this into even greater detail. But summary is, many of us struggle with a negative mindset. We have the habit of worrying about future. There are a million bad things which might theoretically happen. But it's really important to understand that if you focus in your mind on what you don't want, you're actually going to be more likely to create it. Conversely, if you focus in your mind on what you do want, you'll be more likely to create that. So another way to say that is what you think about expand. So if your self-talk fixates on obstacles, roadblocks, the wrong people, bad advice, scarcity problems, possible future problems, the things that you don't want, you're training your brain to seek those things out and present them to you. And again, I included some quotes here that I think get right to the heart of the matter. Wayne Dwyer, who did a lot of teaching on this subject. What you think about expands. If your thoughts are centered on what's missing, then what's missing by definition will have to expand. Dr. David Hawkins, the basic rule of the psychic universe is that like attracts like. And Earl Nightingale, the father of the whole personal development movement, we become what we think about most of the time. And that's the strangest secret. So the action item for this week is which of these particular 4 principles is most useful or most challenging for you. For me, I think it's principle 6, but I'll wait and we'll open it up for discussion and see what everybody else has to say first. So, hey, Jada, hey, Morris.
Hello.
Hey there.
Hi.
I'm going to turn it over to you guys. Let me bring the list back up. And so maybe Gina, start with you. Yep. Which of these 4 for you is either the most useful or the 4 most challenging for you, and why?
Actually, I related immediately to principle number 5. And you have seen me struggle with this the last couple of weeks. I cannot stand to be diddling around with tech. It drives me insane. It ruins my entire day. And so therefore, I just decided not to. I had the most important thing I needed to get done. I figured that out, and then I just didn't have the bandwidth for anything else. If I'm dealing with all of this internal chaos of struggling with the tech, then I'm not moving forward with the other things I need to move forward with. And so, principle number 5 really spoke to me.
Okay. Or so any of these you find either especially useful or especially challenging?
So especially, by the way, Gina, can totally relate. Not necessarily for tech, but yeah, I know exactly what you mean. It breaks the entire flow that we want to achieve, right?
Yep.
So the most useful is principle number 8, right? Like building this habit to always shift my attention towards what I want instead of complaining about what I don't want. But the ones that I struggle with the most is number 6. It's been a discussion for several months in my business now, and that's because there are certain the pyramid that you call it, like low value tasks and high value tasks. So there's certain low value tasks that I really enjoy, which is not like from the perspective of a business owner, that's not good, right? Because my job is to grow the business, to be an entrepreneur, and to grow the business. But from a human perspective, why am I doing what I'm doing? It's to earn money while having fun, kind of like in a simple way to put. So that's definitely a struggle for me, depending on who I talk to, right? Some people, they're all about, you need profits, you need scale. And if you become an entrepreneur, that's a sacrifice you make, right? As an employee, you can have fun doing certain tasks and get paid for it. But if you make the decision to be an entrepreneur, you're responsible for the business and eventually for all the salaries you're paying and whatnot. So that's a sacrifice you make. Other people you talk to who are more focused on living a fulfilled life, right? It's not just about profit. And it's like, well, that's perfect. You're doing what you love or you do something that you enjoy and you make money with it. So what's there to complain about? So yeah, that's why I'm struggling with it, because I don't know which group I subscribe to the most. Depends on my mood, depends on the day, depends on so many things. So very undecided.
Yeah, and for me, I also picked principle number 6 as, I'd say, the most challenging, the thing I probably would benefit the most from really homing in on even more right now. I think it's kind of related to what you're talking about, but pick what you really want to do. And there is a balance of things that you enjoy doing and things you can make make reasonable money at and potentially things that could really scale. I would lean more towards, I'd say, the middle ground on that. As far as, I mean, for one thing, nothing says you have to, as an entrepreneur, nothing says you have to grow an empire and have any other employees, right? If you truly have a business versus a hobby, then the expectation is you're making a living from it. So you generate enough income to support you and family, and ideally over time, even some, let's say, excess or additional, so that you can invest your money and contribute to charity and share the wealth, enjoy the fruits of your labor. But I don't think principle 6 means you have to give up doing things that you really enjoy, or that there's no need. You're making a mistake if you spend time in your work doing things you enjoy, even if they're not super high dollar value. I mean, does that make sense? Because you said you kind of, from day to day, you're being pulled from pillar to post, or I suspect different people are telling you different things. So depending on who said what to you last, might be the thing that's most currently in your ear or in your mind.
Yeah, and also just for myself, where I don't really know where I stand in this entire argument, because like what you've just said, I completely resonate with that, right? Like you can build your business to be the way you want to.
Yeah.
And there's people who stay solopreneurs forever, right?
Yeah.
But on the other hand, there's like a really big group of very successful entrepreneurs who achieve a lot of things even beyond business in their life, and like you said, with organizations and nations and so on. Like, and they always say that you're either growing, or like the business is either growing or dying. There is nothing in between. So if you subscribe to that, like, I don't want to call it philosophy, but like if you subscribe to that, then that means your job as an entrepreneur is to always grow the business. Because if you're not growing, you're dying, right? And then one day you wake up and you're like, oh crap, like I'm screwed, So that's where this pull comes from, because I have to do what I have to do to keep growing. That means giving up tasks that I enjoy, but that are low dollar value, right? And then some other days I'm like, well, but I'm good financially and everything's going fine. Like, why can't I focus on the tasks that I enjoy, right? And then this conversation keeps going and going, as I just said earlier.
Well, I think you can always be growing, but that doesn't mean you have to be massively scaling up and building an empire and crossing the $500,000 a year mark, or the $1 million mark, or the $10 million mark. I mean, it could be, but I think that it could also just mean getting incrementally better, even on a day-to-day basis, on the things that you are doing, and getting better and better at serving your client.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, that would be a different pyramid, right? That wouldn't be a pyramid based on the dollar value of the activity. It would just be based on this idea: I want to get better at whatever it is I'm doing.
Right. Yeah, you think of it as a quality pyramid, but I think there's also, if you get better at what you're doing, sometimes you can get fast at what you're doing. And that means it becomes more high dollar value because you're measuring it by time. But then it also leads to, new opportunities. For example, something that's fairly low dollar value right now that you really enjoy. As you get better and better at it, maybe it will scale to, I'm just throwing this out as a hypothetical example, it would scale to a group activity, which would take it up to higher dollar. I think getting better at the things that you're doing, both in business and outside of business, it can be incremental, just every day a little bit better. I mean, let me take an almost silly example of, as you know, I'm doing a lot of content development. My goal is for every video I do, get 1% better, figure out something else. And incrementally over a period of time, I've gotten better and better and better. I think if that's the perspective you have of growing or one of the key perspectives of growing your business, then I would agree, you should always be growing. You should always be growing or expanding how effective you are. And a lot of times that's going to lead to increased revenue over time. But I don't think it means you have because you put on the entrepreneur hat, you have this obligation to bear across and maximize your revenues, even if you hate what you're doing.
I like that. That's a very balanced approach, and still follows all the entrepreneurship rules, so to speak.
Yeah, and the entrepreneur police aren't going to show up pummel you if
entrepreneurship police.
Yeah, if you're doing things you really enjoy doing. That part is high dollar value as other things you could be doing that you're not putting. All right. So, Gina, any thoughts on that particular discussion?
I don't know who it was that said that statement, either you're growing or you're dying, because the entire last year, I wasn't growing or dying. I was just trying to maintain because I was so ill. And there's probably other cases like that where people are maintaining. But I do have to say that I made a profit. And that's the first time ever that I made a profit in the 3 years that I've been in business, or 2.5 years. So maybe I was growing. I don't know. But I was just focusing on staying above ground and treading water and continuing to interact with the people that I had brought into my world, and providing value and providing service to people. I don't know. I am not interested in making millions. I'm just interested in making enough to keep me afloat so that I could live to 95 on my retirement income. So that's all I'm interested in.
That's a worthy goal. All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining. Have a great rest of your day or rest of your weekend.
I'm happy I could make it.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thanks for your inputs. This was a great workshop, Stephen. See you guys next week. Bye-bye.
You bet.
Bye.
Thanks for watching this video recording from my live weekly workshop. Every Sunday, I feature instantly actionable steps you can take to overcome procrastination, increase your productivity, and get your shit done. Followed up by Q&A and discussion with the live participants. I really hope you found this video useful and you feel like watching it was time well spent. Please post any questions or comments you have. I always answer posts. I'd appreciate it very much if you would like this video and subscribe to my channel. And if you know anyone that would enjoy and benefit from this particular episode, please send them the link. Stay productive, my friends.